welcome to Taking Over. I am, of course, OLED Ed Fries, and I'm joined by the queen of our local establishment, the Nastral herself, the natural Astrid Pizarro. Hollywood Astrid, indeed. How you doing?
That's too many nicknames for my taste. How are you doing?
Well, you're the one who keeps collecting nicknames like your Ultimo Dragon collecting championship belts, so that's your fault, not mine.
Thanos, but geez, okay.
You're not collecting Infinity Stones yet, sweetie. Sorry.
Close enough.
Bobby's in the chat. Hello, Overlord or Ogre Lord, however you would prefer. Thank you for joining us. We greatly appreciate you here. Oh, the women are taking over NXT.
Yeah.
Last week they were the main event. This week they were like, no. We can't just have the main event. We want to open the show and we want to close the show. We want both of them.
Yes.
Ashley doing her best Young Bucks there, by the way. Wrong show. No Young Bucks.
Why not?
We don't like the Young Cucks. We can leave them over there on Wednesday nights.
We sounds like a lot of people. No. We sounds like a royal we. I'm not included in this we.
It's definitely a royal we. We all, as speaking for our local establishment, we take the Young Cucks and we send them over there to Wednesdays.
No.
Oh, but no, the women opened the show here. The women main evented the show here. The women proving that they are a draw on all of these shows, which I think is great. The fleshed out nature of this NXT women's division is starting to show. Like, and we have levels to it. Like let's not sit here and say that they're all the greatest. Like, there are significantly levels to this where we're talking about the opening match and the ending match, and then there's one that they kind of shucked in the middle to go. Oh, but I was apparently wrong about the Iron Survivor. The women's Iron Survivor is not going to be.
I like your theory a lot.
I like the idea of putting the women's championship on the line. I think they have to do it at some point. Like, I think it just makes sense at some point. Like, you already have an instant cash in whenever you want as the breakout tournament winner. I don't think you need another Money in the Bank style cash in thing for NXT. I don't think you need one for young kids and one for veterans. I think you can just do one and call it a day. So I wouldn't mind the Iron Survivor, being to name a number one contender as opposed to right now where it seems like it's more cash in.
For me, though, it was the fact that what you mentioned before about having Roxanne putting the title on the line here, it fits the storyline because of the post that Ava always does at the end of the pay-per-view. It's like, she's still champion, that kind of thing. Like, I feel like it would have connected so well with that story of, like, no matter what happens, Ava still puts something else on top of Roxanne's plate, and here Roxanne goes above and beyond and she defeats it, and I feel like that could have been part of it.
Yeah, I think that was part of what I was going with that was the idea that there's this, because Ava's never really tried to screw Roxanne. She's never really tried to, all she's done is like, Roxanne, we're going to have you put the title on the line in fun and interesting matches. But she's never actively tried to make Roxanne lose any matches. She's never, even though that's the story Roxanne's telling, that's not the story that's actually happening, which I like from the delusional Roxanne Perez. I think that makes sense as a champion who's frantically panicking to continue holding on to her title. So she's finding anybody to be an enemy, including Ava. And I'm like, that paranoia would have played really well into Roxanne being the first to ever defend the championship. And even giving Roxanne the choice. You can start the match and have to wrestle all 25 minutes, but you have more opportunities to get pinfalls. Or you could go last and have less time to get pinfalls, but you're the freshest person in the match, so you don't have to worry. That, I thought, really gave some interesting intrigue into the Iron Survivor. And when they put the Iron Survivor in the game WWE 2K25 next year, that's exactly the story I'm going to tell in some of the WWE 2K25 Universe Mode stuff that I do. Hello, Millie. Thank you for joining us. But we're going to start where NXT started in a recap package. We don't care about those recap packages. If you weren't here last week, after the show, go watch last week's show. While last week was all promo heavy, tonight was slightly more. It was slightly more. The matches got more time. They didn't devote as much time tonight as Ashley pounds away on her keyboard.
No, sorry, I have something dirty on my screen. I'm trying to take it off.
I was going to say, we caught all of that. She said, I did not catch a good bit of the show, and no, it's not because of Dancing with the Stars. I didn't see you tweeting about Dancing with the Stars, so I assumed it wasn't that. But we start with the Beautiful Madness and the Dark Angel herself, Stephanie Vaquer and Giulia defeating the Ladies of Metaphor in a really good match. It was fun. It was exciting. It did all the things it needed to do. Lash looked like $1 million when she had both Giulia and Stephanie on her in her arms at one point, and then banged them up and down on the ropes. Like I know she's done that before, but it just looked cool.
Yeah.
Because Giulia and Stephanie feel like they're slightly bigger built women than some of the people that Matt Lash has done this to in the past. I thought that was a little bit more interesting. I also thought it was interesting how over Stephanie Vaquer's leg wrapped around the head driving thing is getting, because I'm seeing that thing all the fuck over Twitter every time she has a match. I mean, I think I have my reasons in my head as to why that might be popular online. We got Logan James in the chat. Hello. But no, I thought this was a great match. The right people won. We're pushing Stephanie. We're pushing Giulia. Lash and Jakara don't necessarily need a win right now. They're kind of in no man's land because they need the call-up more than anything. They need to be on the main roster where they can have a goal to go for. Because as of right now, there's no reason for them to be in NXT. Neither one of them are in any championship picture whatsoever besides the women's tag team titles. So there's no point to having them in NXT. So let's put them on the main roster where even if they get some singles matches, they can at least be in that picture for the women's tag team championships. Millie's saying it was my niece's last basketball game of the year and at the start of it, and then it ended watching something else when I got home. Hey, it's okay. You're here. We're going to tell you all about what happened so you know exactly what to go back and watch once you get back there. Hopefully your niece won the basketball game. If not, well, the referees were biased and they suck. Ashton, speaking of bad refereeing, what do you think of the match tonight?
What is that supposed to mean?
I just feel like you'd be a bad referee. I don't know.
Excuse you. I was torn about this one just because I understand what your point is from, like, you have Giulia and Stephanie here. You want them to get the win because obviously after the match they told us they're both going to be in qualifying matches with the Iron Survivor. But at the same time, it just, I feel like Jakara and Lash also had a good momentum going to Saudi, and I would have wanted them to continue that moving forward as well at the same time. So I feel like this is one of those matches I feel like you could be kind of in a pickle because who would you have picked to win this match? I feel like they both could gain something from winning it. But I feel like at this point, Stephanie and Giulia have a little bit more to gain than Jakara and Lash, and that's why they won. But I could have gone with either team winning, to be honest. And again, they did great. They had such a great chemistry. It's like, again, I'm loving this team between Stephanie and Giulia. I'm so sad it's going to be over pretty soon because I'm enjoying it so much. But I like the ending when the guy interviews them and tells them both, and it's like, oh, you're going to be in the Iron Survivor, so what's going to happen there when you both face each other? And I like how they just, as friends, shook hands, and they're like, we'll see each other at Deadline somehow. And I like how even as a team, then obviously know that because of the title, they're going to have to switch gears a little bit for that time being with the championship on the line. But I love how they executed that at the end too.
Yeah. Logan still upset that he's not watching Joshi wrestling. Apparently he forgets that he's watching North American wrestling, and we don't get Joshi wrestling in the United States. So again, if you want to do that, go watch Stardom on WWE Stardom World, I believe it is. Stardom Dash World. Wrestle Universe has Sendai Girls. It has Marigold. All kinds of great stuff there. And yeah, the post-match here was really cool. I liked the post-match where they went ahead and had, the two of them basically saying, like, look, we understand that, like, we're friends now, but when it comes time for it, we're going to go ahead. And yes, If you want anything for Joshi Wrestling, please go down here to any of these links, whether it be New Japan World, whether it be Stardom-World, or whether it be Wrestle-Universe.com. Fantastic places to get fantastic wrestling. And of course, watch our good friends Andre and Melball as they have their own wrestling channel, Andre and Melball Wrestling Talk, where they talk all about Japanese wrestling and some of the local independent stuff in Canada. And they also go ahead and have the Japanese wrestling update right here on our local establishment every Friday night. So if you have any of your Japanese wrestling needs met, that's where you're going to find them here in our local establishment, not here when we're talking about NXT. I do also want to thank Will jumping in and saying it's cool that NXT uses the Stephanie Giulia facing off the New Japan Strong Women's Championship to have them be a team and be friends. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. They know each other. They're comfortable being around each other. It makes sense that you could use that as an opportunity to bring the two of them on there. Hey, he's finally back. STG's in the chat. We'll talk about my boy, Lexis King, in a little while. Millie does also say, yay, sportsmanship. We get the Iron Survivor rules package, which is my favorite video of the entire year, except for the WWE Royal Rumble by the numbers video that they do. Oh. I'm a sucker for that by the numbers video. I love it. When they make those little changes every year, depending on what things happen in the Rumble, and they update it. I love that video package. And I like the Iron Survivor video package. These are always really cool, really interesting. The rule set for this match is one of my favorite funky matches of all time. I am so hooked on this Iron Survivor. I adore this match.
I love this.
Yeah, I do. And again, Logan, I congratulate you on all of that stuff. But that's his thing for another show on Japanese Wrestling Update. So go ahead and talk to Mel and Andre, who know all about who those people are, because I know the names, but I couldn't tell you anything about them. Numbers can be fun sometimes. I deal with numbers way too much. We then get our first Iron Survivor qualifying match, which was a bit of a surprise when Sol Ruca defeated Cora Jade in a surprisingly fast match.
It really was.
I'm not complaining. I don't think it needed a lot more time. I think the girls got over a lot in the time that they were allowed. I was just surprised that it took 5-ish minutes to have this match. But I think it was set up really well. I think that the finish went really well, and I want you to go ahead and talk. Oh, she's on the phone.
No.
I was going to say, I want you to talk about it.
No, but I wanted to quote something as I'm talking about it too. Because at first, I'm trying to remember the first one, but Cora tweeted, "Oh, this is light work," and then now that Sol won, so retweeted it and just went light work, and it just killed me. Oh my god! I just wanted to have the words correctly when I said it, but no, I was very surprised about this because I this is another one that just like the opener, I was so torn about it because I was thinking Cora just returned, they probably put her in there. Have her I don't want to say the big people, but Zarias and the Stephanies and the Giulias and probably Cora in there too. So in my mindset, I was thinking it's her winning. That's it. So I did enjoy the match and what Sol was able to do in this match. And I feel like Sol was definitely somebody that could benefit from match for Iron Survivor. So I was thinking I would rather have Sol in there because that's an environment for her. And then the match happened. And I was like, okay, it's definitely Cora winning, but I watched it anyway. And then having Sol win, I was just so surprised. But I feel like it definitely fits her better than if it's Cora. But it's just very surprising. Cora, since her return her matches have been short, which is something that's very surprising as well. But yeah, I was thinking that too, that it could be maybe because of her needs. She hasn't been wrestling as much since she returned so far. But it made me wonder in the back of my mind, if Sol's in the match, what plans do they really have for Cora then, if Cora is not part of the Iron Survivor, though? I don't want her in the title match. I'm just saying. So it's if she lost Iron Survivor, I don't want her in there.
I think they have plans for Cora.
But I don't want it to be. But that's a different story. But again, I'm glad that Sol won because that's the one I wanted to win.
Yeah. And Mike the Ref is, of course, referencing my favorite TNA championship match, which is all they need for the Iron Survivor match is a title to hang up in the middle of the ring after a pinfall. I get it. People hate that match. I love King of the Mountain. It's my favorite gimmick match in all of professional wrestling, which is why I love the idea of this match, is because I think it's because I'm so into the King of the Mountain, which is just chef's kiss, fantastic. Millie's is indeed correct. Wrestling 101, tweet one thing, opposite thing for easy to happen. The best part was they literally had the video package before the match of Cora being like, the only thing you can't do is snatch my soul. Checks notes, lost by Soul Snatcher.
Great job, Soul.
It's not 3 pages of rules. It's actually really simple. Like, the rules of this match aren't that difficult. I mean, you're not wrong, but wow, Mike.
Dang.
I mean, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. I mean, the girl with the biggest friggin' ego in all of NXT does have the thing, starve the ego, feed the soul. So there is no soul to feed because she has only the ego. Hollywood Asher giving the look. She is indeed from Chicago. No, I love this match. I thought it was great. I like the ending sequence with Cora running into the thing with the knee and then getting soul snatched right out of that. I thought that was a cute and interesting way to have that match end. It makes sense why Cora would lose because of running into the it kind of makes a little bit of sense, which I always like a little bit of common sense in my wrestling. Well, remember last week to the Extreme Rules match that I didn't like the unconventional ways that they told that story. But no, it was a good one. We also found out before/during this match that NXT superstars, 3 superstars of Lola Vice are going to be on Trivial Pursuit this week. So if you like Trivial Pursuit with my man, I love this guy. I remember as a child reading Rainbow. LeVar Burton is hosting Trivial Pursuit, and it's got Trick Williams, Wesley, Roxanne Perez, and Lola Vice. So 3 stars in Lola Vice. So I'm definitely going to be checking that out Thursday. So that'll be something fun to watch. Millie says, King of the Mountain is so confusing at first until you realize it's literally a reverse. Yes, King of the Mountain is so confusing at first until you break it down to the simple things. It's a reverse ladder match with a penalty box. The women's division is so deep that I didn't even notice that Zarya and Roxanne. Yeah, isn't it funny how deep this women's division is, where they weren't even on the show, and you're like, yeah, the women took over the show, and the champion wasn't even on it.
Yeah.
Cedric and Javon are getting locked in, which seems to be their new catchphrase, which I just think is so great. Oh my fucking God, I'm going to get annoyed by that. Oh, that's going to fucking annoy the hell out of me for the next 8 months, isn't it?
Dang, 8 months.
Well, I assume it's all that Cedric's going to be here for. I assume his contract must be ending soon. I mean, all his friends are now on Wednesday night, so I assume he's headed there. I know what you told me about his wife not having a good experience there. I still think he's going with all his buddies over to the Syndicate on Wednesdays. Yeah, well, no, I'm sorry. Cedric Alexander, he'll be on Saturdays. Let's be real here. He won't be able to make Wednesday nights.
Yeah. No comment.
Next thing you'll see them hitting threes from the corner since he's so locked in. Ah, the NBA. I don't get basketball. Like, I'm from Boston and I like the Celtics and all, but I don't get basketball.
I could care less.
We then get our dose of, oh God, why are they still doing this theater? When Carmen Petrovic is trying so hard to pretend like she's into Dion Lennox, that my mother was even like, why is she acting so much?
Mama fries with the great lines. Yeah.
Oh. But yes, she was trying very, very, very hard to pretend like she's into Dion Lennox, which then has Ashanti the Adonis come in. And she and Ashanti start arguing. And then Brindley comes in. And Brindley suggests that why don't they make a tag team, since, you know, they're so into each other, to work out their differences. And I'm glad they're working out their differences in the ring as opposed to the other way I thought the story would go. So we're going to get Brindley Reese and Dion Lennox, Mr. Reading Man, taking on Ashanti the Adonis and Carmen Petrovic. In more important Carmen Petrovic news, Carmen Petrovic was announced tonight to be going into Bloodsport against the first ever, regardless what they'll tell you about Roxanne Perez, Women's Ring of Honor champion, Sumi Sakai. Because for those that don't remember, while they love to tout Roxanne as the first ever Ring of Honor's Women's World Champion, the first Women of Honor World Champion in Ring of Honor was indeed Sumi Sakai. Cedric will make it to ROH Thursday, so can we? There we go. That's also very true for Cedric. That's also a very likely spot for him. That leaves Ceddy in a very awkward spot. It does, doesn't it? Uncle Ceddy's in a real interesting spot here with all of his friends on over at AEW, and his wife having the worst experience ever, besides maybe Jonathan Gresham in AEW.
Probably.
Millie was just about to mention that. I don't remember. Probably about the Ring of Honor thing, I imagine.
No, I think it's the Bloodsport thing.
Oh, the Bloodsport thing. Yeah, I'm excited for that. Yeah. I'm much more excited than anything that they're talking about with Ashanti the Adonis.
Don't get me started on that. I was glad
it's the thing we're talking about, so I'd prefer you get started on it.
No. I'm glad at least that Brindley and Dion were there because it made it a little bit better in that aspect. But geez, am I just waiting for this to be done and over with?
Did it really? Did it make it any better?
Not better, but it just like it improved it a little bit just because I like the part where like Carmen's like, don't do this. And Brian's like, you know, you want to. It's like that kind of awkwardness between them was better than what was happening with Carmen and Ashanti and Dion. I'm not looking forward
to Mike's question. So. Answer Mike's question. Does Carmen get to bring the score to Bloodsport?
Hell yeah, of course she should.
I need to start giving Millie. The only reason it's an issue is because you guys are about 10 seconds behind me and Astrid. So by the time I start making a new point, I forget that you're behind. So I forget the things I've said that you might be commenting on. That's the only problem with it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but the Bloodsport thing's going to be cool. Again, I could care less about Ashanti and Carmen. I really wish this would goddamn end. And now TWC Worldwide, our man Justin's in on this with that shitty edit that he did. That even he claimed was a really bad edit. And it does. It reminds me of 90s 90210. It reminds me of this really, you know, like a bad version of a 90s show. But you know what? I'm into it. For the sole fact is it's getting Dion Lennox on television. And if this can get Dion Lennox on television and get him in wrestling matches, it might be okay. I just wish it would do something for Carmen. Like, as it's doing nothing, it's making me hate Carmen, which isn't what they're supposed to be doing, I don't think.
It's just making her more look cringe, and I feel like so far she just like, I feel like she was shining on her own and doing very well as she was, and this is just, it feels like forced. Like she's being forced to do this when she acts with them, not even just in the sense of the storyline, but like just like in general, and it just it doesn't fit her well.
Millie understands the delay is stupid. It is so dumb. I hate the delay. But it is definitely worth mentioning. We then get to the Tag Team Summit, to which the attendants were Josh Briggs by himself.
Oh, because the guy from the guy from Noah was in there.
Was he in the room? I know he's
no. But that's why
I know he's in the
though.
Okay, because I said I know he's in the segment later with Ava and Josh, but I didn't see him in the room for the Tag Team Summit.
No, he wasn't there. I didn't think about that until now.
Because I'm sitting there and I'm like, why is Josh Briggs here by himself? This makes no sense.
This is embarrassing.
By the way, these real relationship storylines just don't work when they aren't actual couples. These kids are too young to understand what relationships are.
I think that
I get
just being like, sorry. I mean, just
that.
like not being real like couples, at least people that have chemistry, because there's people that are not couples, but they do have the chemistry. But I'm like, you don't necessarily have to be in a relationship to have that chemistry. They just don't have that chemistry whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, there's been countless people on TV. Look at Dominic Mysterio. Like, say what you will about Dominic Mysterio. Yeah. Dominic Mysterio's chemistry with both Liv and Rhea, while we know they're both acts, they don't really feel like he's acting. They don't really feel forced and like I think the Liv one's a little bit more forced than the Rhea one was. But I honestly feel like they want to work together. They have that chemistry. They have that mix. And they feel like they make it all work. And maybe that's just because they're, like Mike says, they're older. They understand how this works. They know a little bit more. They have a little bit more life experience. Maybe it's all of that. But Dominic Mysterio is a great example of a guy who was in the past, wrestling calendar year, was kissing both Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. And made it all feel real while getting married to his real life fiance in the same period of time.
Yeah. And if you notice, all three individuals are in their own relationships too. They haven't been in a relationship with each other whatsoever. So
yeah, Liv Morgan is with Bo Dallas. Dominic Mysterio has his now wife, and Rhea Ripley is obviously now married to Buddy Murphy. Or Buddy, whatever the hell he is over in AEW. Buddy Matthews, I think it is.
Yeah.
Dom had his old man Eddie to learn from. He did indeed. Seth and Becky knew they didn't work. Yes. That the exact. This is the Carmen thing that I get from Carmen and everybody she's paired with. Is that just that forced? I don't want to do this feel.
Yeah.
We'll move on from that to the Tag Team Summit, where we did see, like I said, Josh Briggs with now makes a little bit more sense with the guy from Noah, who I really wish I knew his name because I don't.
I know I wrote it down. Hold on.
No.
Where do I have it?
Yeah, Millie. A lot of people forget that Liv and Bo were a thing because they've kept it really, really quiet.
Yeah. Is it Joshiki? Is that how you say it? I don't want to butcher it, but that's how it's spelled at least.
Okay. Mike was saying, is it Ishimura? And it's not Ishimura. But yeah, so Briggs was there. OTM was there. TNT was there of Tyson and Tigwai. We also had the family was there. Gallus was there. The Candy Crew was there. And of course, Pink and Tank with their helmets doing their stupid honk gimmick. Was this the most pointless thing on this entire show?
Right, because okay, so when she said this, that she was doing this, I thought that she was gonna bring up and say, we're gonna do a tournament and we're gonna have a number one contenders kind of tournament. You guys face off each other, the winners face off. Not a deadline, because it just maybe they have enough time for deadline. But I was waiting for that moment for her to like get them the match they're supposed to go for, and then be like, okay, so we're gonna set it up. You guys go against each other. You guys go against each other. Announce whatever you have to announce, and they say, okay, thank you, everybody. And then when she says thank you, I'm like, did I miss something? I'm like, did she say what they were going for? She says, oh, I want you guys to like be on your toes. That was a meeting.
Prove yourself. Yep, she wanted a meeting to get the tag teams to prove themselves.
That could have been in a text. I didn't need a meeting for this.
It is a good thing that we didn't need Nathan and Axiom there for this, because this was bullshit.
No, what I wasted their time.
No. God, no. No. I cannot deal with these people in a tag team Iron Survivor. Plus, there's also 6 teams, so it would make an Iron Survivor really interesting.
Yeah.
It's just one too many teams for that.
And I feel like it would have taken, like, how do you... we already have 2, so that's already an hour that's taken away from that PLE as it is when it happens for the Iron Survivor. Between 25 minutes. And I was going to say, like, more or less the entrances, too, so... But I was like, I thought about it, like, an Iron Survivor through the tag teams would have been interesting, but I was like, how do you do that with so many people involved? Do you put the whole team in the cage? Like, that's a lot. So I was like, but it would have been interesting to see it, though.
Yeah, I mean, I get the idea. And, like, Elimination Chamber didn't work for tag teams really all that well either, you know? some of the worst elimination chamber matches of the tag matches, with the exception of the women. The women seem to know how to pull off a tag team elimination chamber match really well, but the men never really seem to get the hang of it. Especially when you're trying to shove 3 New Day members in the same fucking pod. That was always a little weird. But Mikey is right. The Survivor Series used to be all elimination matches. Yeah, but the thing with the Survivor Series that made it so different was the fact that it was, you know, a pay-per-view of that. They only had like 5 matches on that card for a 3-hour show. And it was in the 90s where people didn't give a shit about what the wrestling quality was. Tag Team Iron Survivor just sounds like a clusterfuck. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it at some point if we had like really good tag teams to do it, but I don't think we can pull it off with this crew of tag teams. No offense to the people here, but I don't want to see the family and Hank and Take and the Candy Crew and OTM and Gallus in a Iron Survivor.
Isn't it ironic though? We haven't seen Gallus in I feel like a long while, and they just showed up here for this too. It feels like I know with OTM, I think one of them was injured and went TNT, but I think like some of the few ones like Gallus that was like gone, and they just showed up for this. It's like I could have been like, you could have texted me that, honey. Come on, wasting my time by coming here.
It would be a great way to make Gallus tag team champions, and it would make Mark Talks Wrestling very, very happy, as he is Gallus's #1 fan. We'll move on from this segment to Wesley versus Cedric Alexander. This was a good match. It wasn't great. It was good. It was all right. I hated the ending. I hated the ending because of commentary, not because of how the ending went. But I hate it because of commentary. Because Vic tells us that the referee put the turnbuckle back on, when all he did was put the pad on top of the turnbuckle and leave it be. And so then Cedric runs into it, and Vic looks like an idiot, and the viewer feels like an idiot, because why is the turnbuckle exposed again? And it's like, you don't want to make the viewer feel like an idiot. I feel like that's 101, Wrestling 101. Don't make the viewer feel like an idiot. You can break our hearts. You can make us sad, but don't make us feel stupid. And I think this made us feel stupid because because we saw the referee attempting to put the turnbuckle back on and go to the pin. And I'm like, if you were going to do this, you needed to put the turnbuckle pad fully on, and you needed to have Wesley taking it off again when Cedric goes back to the other corner. Like, there was a missing step here somewhere in between. It just felt weird and funky, and I didn't like it. I mean, NXT commentary is, unfortunately, the worst. But that's mostly because it's forced commentary because of the fact that it's Booker. And Vic has to... When Vic isn't tied down with Booker T, he is so much better. Like, Vic with Wade Barrett was so good. There was so many good things that came of Wade Barrett and Vic Joseph together. And to see the way Vic has to cover for Booker T and try to make bullshit make sense for Booker T just brings it down. We just need to get rid of Booker T. This is the main point here. Let him go run Reality of Wrestling, which apparently Richard Holiday thought was a top-class promotion, which makes me question Richard Holiday's sensibilities. But what do you think of this match?
No comment on that one. No, I feel like you said it was like, I liked the match and it was good. It was that part with the turnbuckle that made it kind of like awkward for the ending, though. I thought that maybe because the referee was fixing the turnbuckle, then he would have missed the pin, and that would have been like the ending of the match itself. So I was expecting more that end of it. And then when the referee just like puts it there right away and goes in and takes care of the pin, I was very surprised about that part. But and then having Wes do the cardiac kick, I was like, oh, this is it. And then all of a sudden he gets, I don't know if it was like one or two, but he got that quick kind of count. And I was like, oh, that was it for a cardiac kick? It was like, that just felt surprising, though. That's the only thing about this match that just made me feel like, something was definitely missing here. don't know what happened here with the miscommunication and that part with the turnbuckle, because I feel like they could have done better with it, because I feel like it could have done better in that sense of it. They would have had the referees distracted with the turnbuckle, and then you have here comes Cedric and goes for the pin, but he obviously the referee's distracted by the turnbuckle, so Wentz is able to take advantage of it. But it just like it felt like weird in that sense of it. The way the referee went like, "Oh wait, it's happening," and then he like put it back right away, and then went to attend the pin. I'm like, that rarely happens. So it just like that part, yeah, it just felt a little bit clunky, like something was missing. Like there was a step missing in there somehow. I don't know who missed it or what could have been from who, but yeah, it was awkward.
Either the ref was supposed to fix the turnbuckle and then make the count, and Wesley heard the two and realized he has to kick out, and thinking everything's okay. Like you said, it felt weird. Mike says they did something similar during the Lyons versus Rizzo match. Yes, they did. It's definitely the things that make me remember that NXT is indeed developmental, and that things happen and that things aren't always great over here in NXT. So it'll be interesting to see what happens going forward. We have Spears sitting down with Tony D'Angelo at the restaurant. This is a really cool back and forth. Like, I didn't write down a lot of what they said, but I thought it was a really cool back and forth. Spears continuously interrupting Tony to keep Tony on his toes, I thought was really fun. The idea that he wants the championship, but he doesn't want it for himself. He wants it for Brooks. And he's like, no, Brooks is going to take you on. And Tony's like, well, why wouldn't you want it for yourself? And he's like, I'm hungry, but I'm not hungry for food. I'm starving to do more, to get more, to see more, to have more opportunity. I'm like, that's really cool, because this is what the Bray Wyatt character, I think, could have and should have been, which is helping. And there was an internet personality, we're not going to name names, who was famous for fantasy booking things and talked about a world where the Wyatt family was this group that would constantly give to others. And Bray wasn't wrestling and he wasn't out there for himself. It was constantly making a family of people who had championships and giving those championships to the people that were with him. And I'm like, that's the great thing for Shawn Spears. You give him championships, not for himself, but to go ahead and kind of disperse them amongst the people to get people to believe in his bullshit. Like, I think that's a really cool way to do this. You've gaslit one. Now, instead of gaslighting them, you show them success and you show them fame and glory, and you let that be what gaslights the rest of the people to follow you and join you. And then we get Nico, whatever. I forget what his name is. Hold on. His name is Nico. I can't even find it anymore. Nico, you
send it to me easily.
I did send it to you, but I sent it to you on Twitter, and I was looking in Discord.
Yeah.
He's apparently new up and comer.
Nico Vans.
So yeah, cool. Unknown dude number 375,425. NXT 2.0.
Yeah.
Mike Durrell, interrupting the dawn is the ultimate version of disrespect in most mafia movies. Yeah, but I love the idea that it's the type of thing that will keep somebody like Tony D'Angelo on his heels, irritated, angry, and more vulnerable to making mistakes, like Tony did with Oba. Because even Shawn even said it. He's like, I like what you did with Oba, how you outsmarted him to do this. And I'm like, that makes sense. They're at least making it feel like Tony did something to one-up Oba. Millie says this was an interesting segment from what she caught of it. Nico does equal cannon fodder. I do agree. But he's a big old dude. He's going to be the heater of the group. He's a big old dude. So, but this will be fun. I like Millie's right. But everything with Tony D'Angelo is supposed to be very mafia movie because he's the Don. But I like this. I thought this was a really good segment. I thought it made the last few weeks of like making Shawn Spears feel like an afterthought really cool and interesting.
Yeah, that's true. It's like I was thinking that more at first when he said he was facing Brooks. I thought it was one of those things of like, no, you're facing Brooks because Brooke is gonna like weaken you from when I face you, kind of thing. So when he said it's like, no, I want it for Brooks, I was like, that's interesting. I feel like that doesn't usually come up in like wrestling, for example, like this. Usually, like I want it for me, but he's just like the guy I'm gonna put in the way of you before you get to me, sort of thing. So him saying that was really interesting, and it makes me think of like how that's gonna play on moving forward. So it's just like more like Sean is like the puppeteer and Brooks is the puppet and he's the one taking the championship, but Sean is the one making all the moves for him. So it's like either way, it sounds very interesting to think about from his point of view. And I like because at the end, I think about it this way too. Sean is at this point putting somebody more on the map because he's done his thing, obviously, and he has his goal. So he's just trying to put the spotlight on somebody. And if he chose himself to work with Brooks, I think this will be very interesting because he's just trying to help build up Brooks a little bit more and helping shine in his own way, aside from how he was with Briggs before and Fallon Henley. So it's very interesting to see this. I hope he doesn't win the championship yet because I would like Tony to keep it a little bit longer before that happens.
I'm glad the AEW guy said this instead of me, but if Spears became any more irrelevant, he would have thought he was back in AEW. Glad they fixed that. Oh, but at least bet Sean Spears. Well, he is a Canadian,
Me
so it does
too.
make sense. Well, you're not Canadian, but yes.
No, but I met him when they released the NXT book. He did a signing at a Barnes and Noble, so I got a picture with Mr. 10.
10, 10, 10. I missed the perfect 10. We get Kelani backstage doing a promo. Tell me I'm not the only one who thought this was a really, really bad promo from Kelani Jordan.
It felt to me just felt kind of the wording. It felt like they could have done better with it because she's like, I've been waiting for this since Halloween Havoc. No shit, Sherlock. That's when you lost it.
It'd be hard to be waiting for it since before that.
Exactly. I was like, when she said that, I went, of course. That's the day you lost it. Where else? What other like event could it have been? So just like that to begin with, I was like, I know you're in that moment that you're like in character, you're like desperate because you've been like scratching to get that rematch. But at the same time, I thought it was like that really made no sense to say because we know that's when it happened.
It's also been like 2 weeks. Like it's not like she's been like scratching and clawing for like months to get the rematch. It's been like 2 weeks.
Yeah, she sounded desperate. I've been waiting since Halloween Havoc. I'm like, that happened not too long ago.
Mike, the ref is actually really important. There are so many bad points from this main event tonight that have nothing to do with the actual match. Mike's right. From the promo here to the closing shot of the show being the brawl, and we'll get to that in a minute. But Mike's right entirely. The match was the only portion of this entire story that delivered. And the match was really good. And again, we'll get to that when we get to the main event. But Mike's entirely right there. Like that's a 100% true statement. This promo is just so awful. And terrible toxic didn't make it any better. Jazmyn and Jacy did not. Jacy, for all the love people want to put on Jacy Jayne, there's a reason why she was the third person in Toxic Attraction. There was Mandy Rose, and then way down the list was Gigi Dolan and Jacy Jayne. Like, which is odd to say because they're both probably better wrestlers than Mandy Rose, but neither have the screen presence that Mandy had. And it's not just about the appearance. It's Mandy commanded the screen. And in that group, Fallon is Mandy. And we'll get to that when we get there later. Does Jacy think she's the new Sasha with those entrance moves? Maybe. Having Jacy literally say she was going to interfere should have been a red flag or something with Ava. I have a feeling we're going to get some kind of weird stipulation match from them at the pay-per-view at Deadline. I think that they're playing this out as, oh, we're stupid, we didn't see this coming, to have some kind of special stipulation match. I mean, yes, she obviously said what they wanted her to say, but she'd been doing such good work with her promos when she was champion. And we talked about, does the championship give her this inflated confidence that she needed? This is one of the first real promos that she's had since she lost it. And I'm thinking maybe it did. Maybe there was some kind of extra boost. Like it gave her the plus 10 popularity boost like it does in WWE 2K. It gave her some kind of a charisma boost in this to be able to do this. I mean, it's just, I hate to harp on it because we don't like to talk about the negatives here. We try to talk about the positives as much as possible. But this ain't it. This ain't it, homie. This ain't it. Then what was it was this next segment with Trick Williams. I loved everything about this segment. Everything. Even Ridge Holland was good in this segment. Even Ridge Holland was somehow good in this segment. Trick comes out and he starts talking about Ridge. And he's like, look, you beat me last week and I'm not dealing with this shit. Just come on out here. And then Andre Chase cuts him off. He's like, hold on, Trick. I know you want a piece of Ridge and you deserve a piece of Ridge, but I need him first. I need, to what everything he did to my school and me losing the ambulance match. And I'm like, all right, Andre versus Ridge one more time. That I can be behind that. And then Trick starts talking to Andre and he's like, hey, you've done everything here and you've done such good work. And I'm like, has Andre really done anything? Like, I know he's been here forever and he's really popular and people love him, but like, he's not really done anything in the company. He's never been a singles champion, and he's only had tag team reigns of very short periods of time. And I'm okay with the legacy title shot. I'm okay with the legacy title shot because, one, they can both still go. It's not like we're giving a legacy title shot to somebody whose wife was on the January 6th riot and they became the Ring of Honor World Champion. It's not like we did that. And then Ridge coming out as soon as Andre starts getting part up for a title shot makes perfect sense. He's like, no, you're not giving Andre a title shot. I beat everybody in his group and then I beat him in an ambulance match just 2 weeks ago. He doesn't get that title shot. I beat him, I beat you. I get the title shot. But that makes sense. Ridge is coming out with common sense logic. I've beat Andre Chase. Why should he get a title shot before me? I beat you last week. I should get a title shot. Both of these things are valid points by Ridge Holland. Finally, he's making a little bit of sense in life. There's a first time for everything. Good job, Ridge. And then Andre's like, I'll put up my university. He's like, I don't give a shit about your university. I'm not here. I'm not Jacy Jayne. I'm not trying to steal your university. I don't give a shit. And so Trick makes a match between the two of them, essentially, for the number one contender for the championship. And I'm like, all right, that's cool. It'll be a good way to get Ridge over. Ridge will get a championship match out of this, and we'll continue moving on. And then Trick starts talking and opens his goddamn mouth. And he's like, you've got this connection with Duke, and you've got this connection with Thea, and you've got this connection with Riley. And then Ridge out of nowhere is like, I want that. And I was like, is he talking about the title match? Because, yeah, I thought we already made that clear. And he keeps explaining. He's like, no, if you lose this match, you disband from Riley. You disband from Thea. You disband from Duke. And I'm like, would they let Andre win? Like, would they put Andre Chase versus Trick Williams as a PLE championship match? Because, like, I could see it. I could see that being a fun match especially if Andre's on his way to the main roster. So it works both ways. If Andre's on his way to the main roster, like I think he might be, him losing or him winning makes a lot of sense. If he's getting a championship match because they're trying to push him further up the card, that makes sense too. So there's a lot of things at play here which make this match as seemingly obvious as it is that Ridge is going to win, there's a lot of little things that are playing in here where I'm like, Trick might be facing Andre Chase for the NXT title at the pay-per-view. And I'd kind of be down for that. What do you think? As I go to the comments.
First, that was when I heard Andre's music, I went, who's that coming out? And I was like, oh shoot, he's back? Okay. And then this back and forth, and like you said, it goes back to Mike's comment with the legacy title shot. Once he said, oh, with everything you've done, and I was like, oh no, Andre's on his way out. That's what I could think about when he mentioned those words. Is like he's done. He's and having this aspect, I did, like you said, I like the part that Rich comes in here. He comes in with his logic. He's like, I beat him and I beat you. I should be the one. And the way in this segment, though, we have Rich and Andre, but Trick is right in the middle. And then when Rich is going, no, I want that, put like Chase you on the line sort of thing. Trick goes, yes, yes, yes. I'm like, how would you as a face be encouraging him to give up what he's built this whole time in here? I'm like, that's what makes me think Trick is thinking of a way of being like, I'm gonna help him so I don't have to face Rich either, kind of thing. Because like, why would the face be encouraging somebody else to lose what the other face is building? So I was like, I thought that was interesting when he's like, oh yeah, put JC on the line, and Trick is like, yeah, do it. It's like, that is a little bit strange to me, but I'll take it. I'll keep a note of that for the future, Trick. And this back and forth that I did enjoy, and it was like I did like having Trick in the middle, be like, yes, yes, and it's like encouraging the whole thing. It's not something that I expected, but like you said, I was thinking, even if Rich winning, I would like to see Trick versus Andre somehow. I feel like that would be something interesting to watch. And if Andre wins, I wouldn't be complaining about it, because he's somebody that has been in this brand for quite a while and hasn't gotten that type of spotlight. And there's other people that have come and gone, and have come after him and have gotten that spotlight. So it's like that thing. If he got his time, I wouldn't be mad about it, to be honest. And but at the same time, I don't want Chase U to end.
Break up Chase U. No. Mike brings up the good point. Do you see a triple threat coming so that Chase U doesn't have to break up? I'd love the triple threat. I think it would make a lot of sense. I don't want to see Ridge versus Trick. That's when we get down to it. I don't want to see the one-on-one match of Trick Williams versus Ridge Holland. I have zero desire to see that. I want that. If that's the match, I want that to open the fucking show on Deadline. Speaking of wonderful people who deserve things, as like Millie says, he deserves to be champ. Look at our friend Shay Sawyer in the chat. Hello, Shay. Nice to see you. No, it's yeah. I thought this was a really banger of a segment. I really thought it was good. Yeah, I think there's a lot of good stuff going on here, and I'll be interested to see how this match turns out next week, because it was made official later on in the night. We get Jada Parker doing a promo package here about her being in the qualifying matches for the Iron Survivor. That makes a lot of sense. I like her in that. I'd like her. This women division, it's so hard to call the women's Iron Survivor, because I feel like anybody could win it, and I feel like nobody needs it. Like, I think Jada or Soul need it more than anybody else I can think of on the roster.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, Giulia, Zarya, and Stephanie don't necessarily really need the Iron Survivor to get themselves into the championship picture. So I'm like, if they lose their matches by crook, by the way, don't let them lose clean. Cora Jade screwing the two of them makes a lot of sense.
And I feel like not only with Zarya, but I think with Zarya, you can also pull in Fatal Influence, costing her the match too, with everything that's going on. It's like, I feel like that wouldn't surprise me if that happened, because I think about it this way too. Stephanie and Zarya do have already, in my eyes, a championship match other than the Iron Survivor. So I feel like even if they lose, they could easily say, I beat the champ already. I should get a championship match as well. And then say, oh, I didn't get one yet, so might as well take it. So I feel like with Zarya, that could be their exit as well, just to give the opportunity to somebody else to be in the match, but you still get Roxanne versus Zarya at some point probably. But yeah, I feel like especially Zarya could be one that you can use that pin as an excuse to not have her in the Iron Survivor match and have Fatal Influence interfere in that match.
I'd love it if Soul wins. I think Soul would be great. I just think Jada Parker would be money with like some kind of a championship match in her pocket when she wants it. Like, I just think that there's something really, really interesting and intriguing with that idea, that she's got this, money in the bank type briefcase that she can cash in whenever she wants. Briggs is talking to Ava with the gentleman from Noah that he brought over, so that seems like they're going to be a tag team. I didn't get the whole, like, they kind of like, this conversation was like, we got like 3/4 of the way through the conversation, which I always hate. Like, I don't mind if they're already talking, but don't have like 3/4 of the conversation before we get there. And then, of course, I know she's not here, but she'll see it on catch up. Eddie Thorpe walks in, so pull up the graphic. Oh, look at Eddie Thorpe. He's going to be in the Iron Survivor match. And I go back to a comment that we had a little earlier from Miss Millie with the Iron Survivor. I think it was Millie. Where is it? I can't find it now. Millie, retype I think it's Millie that put it. Whoever I'll just say it now. Oh, no, it's Will. I'm sorry. It's Will Chisholm. I feel bad for Eddie. We know he's going to face Oba. Yes, he is 1,000% facing Oba Femi next week for that spot, isn't it?
It makes sense.
Will also pops in. It feels like they want Giulia, Zarya, and Stephanie to face Roxanne near the Royal Rumble in Mania time with those big matches. Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree. I think that there's a whole lot of fun that they can have. Eddie finally got a response, and he's going to regret it. Yep, I think Will is 1,000% right. It's going to be Oba Femi that he has to face, and he is going to get brutalized. But yeah, no. As far as the women with the women's, there's so many directions they can go between here and Stand and Deliver. And the end point of all of this is Stand and Deliver. Because Roxanne's time, at the most, she's gone after Stand and Deliver. There's no way she stays after Stand and Deliver. I honestly think she's gone before that. I think she gets called up when Raw goes to Netflix. When Raw and SmackDown both go to 3 hours in January, I think Roxanne Perez gets called up. To be honest with you, there's a big possibility, and so does Giulia and Stephanie Vaquer when that happens too. I feel like this NXT Women's Division is going to get raided when that happens. I think when it all comes...
Sorry, I feel like I'm just on the fence about it. Just because of everything that happened now between Tegan and then Indy, and then on top of it, I don't know if Kiana's injured or whatever happened with her, but they still didn't use her before they drafted her. So just like right now with the draft, I'm like, I know we have time with the 3 hours for both shows, but it's a concern as well.
Yeah, it should absolutely be a concern. The one thing I'll say is Triple H is trying to tell better stories in the women's division, at least at the top. As you fall down the card, it gets worse and worse, which is why I'm worried about this women's U.S. title that they're bringing in. It's like, I don't know if they can do it. However, I will say that with that mid-card championship, we're going to have a lot more stories going on, hopefully, for the women. And there might be more room for a Roxanne Perez, for a Giulia, for a Stephanie Vaquer, if they have a mid-card championship to go after. But time will tell. Adriana Rizzo loses to Nikkita Lyons. This match started. This match ended. Rizzo, the sore loser that she is, hits Nikkita with a crowbar.
That's the best part. That's it.
I mean, I don't know if it was the best part, but it was certainly...
Yes, the best part of the whole segment. Nothing else is better than that. I don't care about what happened in the match because Rizzo lost.
Miss Millie, but they'll get ruined once the division is gutted. Maybe, but I think NXT will be okay, especially with this ID program coming in. I think that there's a potential that if they ID the right people, and by the way, the first ID was the best ID. with Real Deal Zeta Seal being the first ever WWE ID member ID'd. And there's been a lot of good names that I recognize on that list. Bryce Donovan is a talent that I've seen a lot here. Watching some of the, well, they're not shows that I personally go to, but they're shows that I watch online. I've seen a lot of Bryce Donovan in the Shook crew. Tag team with Bobby Orlando. There's a lot of big names coming through. The Real Action Figure Gal is going to be an interesting one for people to get their eyes on if you haven't seen him yet. You're in for a treat. This dude's a bit of a wacko. I love him. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff. And Beyond Wrestling apparently has a new one coming Thursday night. So I might have to make the trek to Worcester to go find out who's going to get ID'd live this Thursday night.
Hey, we have the first Canadian coming this weekend too, so that'll be interesting. But again, congrats to Zeta though. Zeta Steele, she has it. So I would love to see her in NXT. I feel like that would be one of my favorite ones too.
It's about fucking time. It's about fucking time that somebody put her a pen to paper on something.
Yeah, and I feel like for example, I know I interviewed like months ago, but when I interviewed, she talked about having that tryout there, and it was a year into her career without no Marigold, no MLW, nothing yet. You know, that was a year into her career. And thinking about it, I thought it was like if she got it a year into it, she'll get it a little bit later when she has more experience. And look at her now being a part of this. It's like I couldn't be happier. One of my favorite people, so I'm glad I went to her.
And I want to make something clarified because when we talked about this last week, we didn't have a lot of details. These WWID deals are not exclusive WWE contracts. They can still take extra work in other companies. They can appear in MLW. They can appear in TNA. They can appear in AEW and ROH. They can go and do anything they want under these deals. But the WWE ID is bringing their name value higher because people are seeing that they're being eyed as potential future talent for WWE. And apparently under the watchful eye of William Regal. Apparently William Regal is apparently very into these. And CM Punk, apparently. I did not see the CM Punk thing. But I know that William Regal has been involved with this ID program heavily. Which is not a surprise. He was doing the same thing before he went to AEW. Yeah, I was very happy. I was very happy to see that. It's interesting to know, as Millie says, it's nice to know that these deals aren't exclusive, but it gives WWE the right to match any contract. So if they get if AEW comes to them and says we want to sign you, we want you to be all elite, WWE has the right to now to challenge that and be like, we get to match their offer or beat their offer, and you get to take your choice, which I think is an important thing for WWE.
The other one is Jake. Is it Jake? No, Jack Cartwheel. That's another one that was very interesting.
Jack Cartwheel. That was one that made me question, like, were they signing AEW people to these now?
But I know from the people that I've seen behind the scenes of it, because CM Punk, I like how he's been posting the graphics for each one of them and tagging the people on his Instagram, so he's keeping an eye out for these people. And like you said, William Regal and Gabe is the other one that has been really behind this as well. So very interesting moving forward to see what's going to happen there. But I like the choices so far. I'm interested to see who the Canadian talent is supposed to be.
Someone, I don't know what this, Will, if you can retype, I don't know if Jemek is a name of a wrestler or if it's
I think he means someone maybe somebody to make him WID talent kind of graphic. I think that's what he means.
Okay.
That's what I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say I love the idea of sometimes talent not doing jobs. William Regal is the reason we got Asuka, Kyrie. Yeah, this man is that's what he does. That's what he was. He was the one who brought in a lot of the UK talent when WWE UK started. He's the one who goes worldwide to sign all these other talents. He's always been the one doing this. It's been his primary focus since he stopped really being an in-ring competitor. When most in-ring competitors stop, they end up doing producing work and things like that. William Regal didn't do that as much. He went into the talent resources department, and he became a scout. MVP was doing this for a long time until the management shifted, and that's an interesting question about whether MVP was a fan of Vince McMahon or not. Make you question what you think about MVP. But we don't worry about that. We move on. the Chase U the Chase U wrestlers are mad at Andre Chase for putting them on the line in this match against Ridge Holland. And he goes, look, high risk, high reward. If I want big things, I got to put up big risks. But I got this. They don't seem so confident that he's got this.
Yeah.
It would be a nice way to end this Chase U versus Ridge rivalry to let Andre get the big win. Considering Ridge got the win in the ambulance match.
Yeah, that's true.
I'd be down for that. We have Javon Evans taking on Lexis King. Somehow known as my boy Lexis King. I mean... This was a match. It started in it. I like this match. To be brutally honest and to say nice things about Lexis. There he is. I knew if I said it, he'd pop up here. STG, my boy. Ah, yes, because I do hate him so much. Millie says MVP's always been questionable in many ways. I've met the man twice. Interesting. All right. Apparently there are stories about MVP that I don't know because I didn't know he was a questionable. But anyways, I really like this match. They had chemistry. It made the Lexis King face turn feel a little bit better. Like, I liked the way they did it in this match with, him getting his head too high up and kind of basically just headbutting Javon Evans in the balls and being like, no, I back off. He waits. He makes sure that the ref checks on Javon Evans. He gets Javon Evans up. And the match was good. Like, the overall wrestling in it was pretty solid. Yeah, I rolled my eyes when it did it too, but at the end of the night, I was like, I still don't like Lexis King. I don't want to watch him wrestle, but like, it made a little bit more sense. And they're making the heel. They're obviously making the face turn. We'll talk after the match. She's backstage with the jobber baby faces of the bunch, Hank and Tank, Dante Chen, the jobbers of the babyface world, and they're all giving them props, which was funny. But the match itself was actually really good. Surprisingly good chemistry between the two. And Vic had a great line. He's like, Lexis King it basically was his dad's two nicknames. He had Flying Brian on one shoulder and he had the Loose Cannon on the other. And it's like it's two sides of his dad sitting on his shoulder, weighing him down. And he's trying to get this weight off of his shoulders. I'm like, I wish they would have done this storyline in the beginning of being like, because so many fans don't remember who Flying Brian Pillman is. So it doesn't make a lot of sense. But also he wasn't known as a cheater because like the only cheating he did was he was part of the Hart Foundation. Like, that's why he was considered a cheater a lot of the time in his WWE run, because that's all he did in the WWE. In WCW, he was a babyface for a majority of his time. So, by the way, if you want a great Brian Pillman match to watch, Brian Pillman versus Jushin Thunder Liger. I believe it was for the Junior Heavyweight Championship in WCW on an early edition of Nitro. Really, really good match. Really fun match between the two of them. What did you think of Javon Evans versus Lexis King?
I saw this clip that I sent it to you on Twitter, and because it's that part of the headbutt sort of thing. It's like, oh look, Lexis does the headbutt to Javon Evans, and then he doesn't know what to do. And I'm like, do you know the storyline that's really going on? Because you can see that Lexis is conflicted because he's used to the fact that whenever something like that happens, he'll go after the person, not give them a breather. And then he kind of goes for it, but then he's debating himself whether he should go and attack Javon or give him that moment to like really recover. And it's like, so you can see that he's more conflicted. It's not like he doesn't know what he's doing. He's conflicted because he's changing. And I like what we see here more than the wrestling, is just the character work and the storytelling here between both of them. Because Javon being his usual self, but at the same time, you get Lexis being there, and it's like he doesn't know what to do because he's changing and he's transforming himself. So it's nice to see that happening in the ring itself. And even at the end, when Javon wins, putting their hands in the air and showing that sportsmanship, the old Lexis would have attacked Javon after the match, but no, this time he just had, they had their hands together raised, in the ring before they both left. So it's like you can see that he's changing. So it's like that part is just like that. I was like, that bothers me. I don't use that wording that he was confused.
Yeah, I'm gonna put the idiot on blast. He's right here on Twitter, and you know he's an idiot because he's paying for Twitter. So obviously he has no idea what the fuck he's doing. You're networking. He doesn't have a podcast. He doesn't have a show. He's just an idiot on Twitter.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if we should. I also don't think I need to take his thoughts very seriously, considering his bio is I talk graps and it's New Japan, AEW, CMLL, and Noah. So then why are you talking about NXT, you dum dum?
Oh, well.
I can't even pronounce your name because you don't have a real name because there's not enough vowels in it to pronounce a name. So go to hell, dum dum. So Javon Evans and Wesley are now both in the men's Iron Survivor, and we have Sol Ruca by herself in the ladies' Iron Survivor for now. We get Naxium arguing backstage because Nathan wants to be a part of the Iron Survivor. Astrid, the boys are about to break up again.
No, we're not doing this. They're fine.
And then, really? Because Axiom seemed really annoyed when he got asked for advice on how to be in the Iron Survivor from Nathan.
He goes, tranquilo, amigo.
Yeah, it sounds really weird coming from his fucking shitty accent. Nathan's I hate Nathan's accent. Can't stand it.
No.
Is it weird that the Lexis King story, I'm not like my father, but we love his dad, and the loose cannon and Brian Pillman has a gun? Yeah. His dad is like, we love his dad. It's like, his dad almost shot a guy on television. Like, back in the days where, like, people called 911 thinking Brian Pillman actually shot Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like, I was around then, and there were stories the next day on the news being like, the phone lines for that area's 911 were lit up because people thought he actually shot Stone Cold on television.
Yeah.
Brian Pillman was indeed something else. He was. I wish we could have had more time with Brian Pillman. There are so many things. I really wish, especially now, like I think he would have been so good now at teaching the next generation because his character work and the things he was doing and trying to do, whether they were good, bad, or indifferent backstage, when he came out on television, was like, I respect you, Booker man. And he wasn't talking to Booker T. He was talking to the people who write the show, the actual bookers of the show. It's definitely fun. I wonder if the California grocery store that had Stone Cold and Booker T brawl, probably. Millie coming in saying the Iron Survivor is brought to you by athleticism at this point, at least. Yeah, no, it won't be soon. Mm-hmm. Don't you worry. We'll bring that to a ground halt soon. But I mean, not really. I mean, last year's men's Iron Survivor had what? Dijak, Briggs, Trick, Axiom, and Grayson Waller, right? I think Braun Breaker. It wasn't Grayson Waller. It was Braun Breaker. I'm almost certain it was Breaker, Briggs, Dijak, Trick, and Axiom.
Okay. So yeah, I remember because Trick won. Dijak, Briggs, Breaker, and Tyler Bate. That's the other one.
Oh, it's Tyler. No wonder why I forgot it was Tyler Bate. Very forgettable person. Next week, we get more qualifiers for the Iron Survivor. We get Ridge versus Andre Chase. I almost read that as Andrade, and that would have been really weird. Andre Chase for the number one contendership, and if Andre loses. So, I think it's funny. Andre's got two things he can lose in this match, and Ridge has nothing he can do, which I think is really odd. Like, why does Andre have to put up so much on the line for this match?
Mm-hmm.
We also got confirmed that we're going to have Carmen Petrovic and Ashante the Adonis teaming against Brindley Reese and Reader Man Dion Lennox. I should wake up.
What happened?
Stop dreaming about Dion Lennox and his reading.
That's not who I'm dreaming about.
I'm sorry, you're dreaming about Ashanti the Adonis, apparently.
No, ew. Not that one.
Astrid and Ashanti sitting in a tree.
Ugh.
All right. Lexis is backstage. The baby faces. And Millie starts sleeping as I read that mixed tag match.
Yeah, same.
Lexis is mad that he lost again, but Hank Tank and Dante Chen all come up and say good job until Gala steps in and starts making fun. Oh. Millie did not like me singing that you and Ashanti were sitting in a tree.
Yeah.
Gallus comes in, and that starts a war with Hank Tank. We also saw earlier OTM and the family getting involved. Later on during the main event, we'll see TNT getting involved with backstage with who was the other? Oh, the Candy Crew. It was during like a picture-in-picture they did like during the match where they had them fighting backstage. So the show ends with all the tag teams that I just mentioned from the Tag Team Summit all fighting each other, around the ring. But we're going to end on a high point with Kelani Jordan taking on Fallon Henley. What do you think, Astrid?
I feel like this was very fun. As expected, the girls are still going to be a part of the match in there somehow. I think the only thing that I was hoping that Zarya would come in here and kind of be that equalizer there, even with Fallon still retaining, but I was hoping that Kelani would have some kind of backup from somebody here, especially after last week. But I do like the fact that it doesn't happen till I would say halfway through the match when Kelani does she does a splash and you can see that Jacy puts Fallon's foot on the rope, so she's the one that's helping out there the most. And then I think Jazmyn distracts the referee, and here comes Jacy to help out again. So Kelani does have the numbers against her in that aspect. And again, the result, it doesn't surprise me to have Fallon retain on a weekly show compared to PLE, for example. But again, I just thought there will be some kind of backup. I feel like they could have continued the story here and that had a Zarya or maybe a Jordan come in here and continue on to what happened last week with Fatal Influence here. So I was hoping for something along those lines, even after the match, because I thought after the match when the girls were celebrating that somebody's going to show up behind them because Zarya behind them would have been so badass to see. And I was hoping that would happen. So I feel like that would see the only thing that I feel like it was kind of missing from this. But I feel like they had a great chemistry. They really showed off. And I feel like they did very well with this. And I'm glad the women were the beginning of the show and the main event of the show tonight, too.
Yeah, they opened the show. They started the show. They are indeed big time on here. Like I said, I thought it was a great match. I thought it was booked properly. I thought it was booked, the way it needed to be booked. I liked, Jacy getting that big punch on the outside, made it look real good. Getting the pinfall. I need Fallon to get a better finishing move, not from the 1990s. A famouser is not a finisher. It's 2024. Fallon, you're more talented than that. I mean, Billy Gunn used it as a finisher. Enough said of how terrible it had to be. Like even Dolph Ziggler had something else to use as a finisher other than the famouser. Like at least he had a zigzag to go with it. So come on, Fallon, you're better than this. But she's a cowgirl and a rocker dropper is a. Well, yes, but they're not calling it a rocker dropper. They're calling it the famouser, which she's neither famous nor making anybody famous, so it doesn't need to. And it was famous-er originally with Mr. Billy Gunn. But no, I like this match. I thought it was great. I think we're definitely moving on. Really, I was just going to mention Zigman.
Can't forget about him.
You can't do a famouser and not mention the Zigman. I mean, first you have to mention Billy Gunn.
Me. Mm-hmm.
Hold on. I got that clip here.
It
should have been me. It should have been me. It should have been me.
Speaking of people that it should have been him, I really want him to come back for one night only to be Goldberg's last match.
Oh no, we're not doing this. No.
Oh, I forget that Billy used to call it the smoking gun, the rocker dropper when he did his smoking guns. Then again, I've often forget about the smoking guns, period, because, oh boy. Do you know who the smoking guns were? Do you even know what we're talking about?
No.
Please, God, no. The smoking guns were Billy and Bart Gunn. And they were cowboys. Bang bang with 6-shooters and chaps. And the whole getup with the cowboy hat and all. And they couple times tag team champions in the old WWF. By the way, I sent a picture of it to Astrid. I thought it was funny that we got a WWF commercial for the second straight week during the. And by the way, what I mean by that is we got the World Wildlife Federation after they beat down the WWE. They've never done ads on WWE since then. But because we're back on network TV again over here on CW, apparently CW's got to deal with them. Goldberg's last match needs to be Dom. I mean, I have a feeling if it's Dom, it might end badly for all of us because I think he might win that match.
Okay.
But talking about Goldberg is a painful thing that we can do. Another time we can talk about good things here. And speaking of good things, let's take a look at the calendar for our local establishment for the rest of the week. And then Ashley's going to come back with some fun news of her own.
Please note.
Never gonna stop, never gonna change, never gonna do the things you say. I run my own way to get there. Pulls a coin and the eyes seem to care. In the air, no more crowd, just the opposite kind of few clouds. Tell me the storm is coming, for the sake of all your lies. Why don't you try to be wise? Know that I need you anyway.
I never wanted to be alive, just to feel like I'm fading. And though my heart breaks a beat of time, I cross the line just to take you. Don't lead the way, don't even say that I draw with a color playing parade. I feel like I'm fading.
And we're back, and that's all the things that you can expect this week. But Astrid, give people a little idea of what you've got coming up. You've been cooking on something with some of the ladies. You're muted, by the way. I got the Astrid on the mute thing.
I don't know how that happened. I didn't even click it. Okay.
You muted before we went to the video, and then so it didn't unmute when the video ended.
I didn't even notice. Oh well. But starting Monday, I forget what time, so I have to go back to that when the calendar does get published. But Auntie Collins, Melba Collins, so I got the Collins Squared with me. It's going to be WCW Women's Classic Wrestling. We're going to be talking for the first couple of weeks about the Mae Young Classic tournament. So we're going to be discussing those matches for the next couple of weeks. So we're very excited to be doing a little bit more women's wrestling here in OLE. So that's what we're cooking up on Mondays now. So really excited about that. Now that's your part. Don't mute yourself.
If you want, I will. Yeah, I was going to let you do this so that I could cough and take a breath. If you want to go ahead and support Ashley, you can go ahead and support her by buying this shirt right here, by spending this QR code, and you can get this lovely shirt modeled by our wonderful Mike the Ref, who's still in the chat, and Melba Collins over here. You can also go ahead and support Astrid at WWE Shop by using this code, and you can get all of the same great deals at WWEshop.com. But you get a little bit of a kickback to our own Ashley Bizarro so you can help continue to fund our Canva so we can continue making banger graphics like the Women's Classic Wrestling banner right here that was made. Fantastic job. I'm very excited to watch that show. It is going to be an absolute joy to watch you and the Collinses.
Not related.
Not related in any way, shape, or form. It's going to be something. Millie is apparently very hyped. We've got one big fan already. Shocker!
Yes.
A women's wrestling show that Millie's very excited for. But you can also catch Ash Bizarro at all of these places.
Yeah, the blue sky that everybody's going to apparently now for some reason. Hey!
Well, that's because Twitter is a hellscape that we're all trying to avoid.
I know. But you can find me on Twitter, Blue Skies, Astro Pizarro, Instagram and Threads, Astro Pizarro20. Like I said, so I'll be here Monday and Tuesdays now, and some other stuff coming out a little bit later, hopefully.
And of course, you can find me at EdFries12584. You can find me on the Twitch at twitch.tv/EdFries2002. You can go ahead and catch me and Andre live tomorrow night, live because Andre's plans got changed. So he will be live. We'll be doing a live review of Civil War. No, of course not. No. I'm just saying that it's fun. It's just the idea that it's a women's wrestling show. So obviously you're a fan. Not shade. It's not shade. It's just truth. If these wonderful women are putting on a great women's wrestling show, you're going to be there front and center, ready to watch. No shade whatsoever. Hey, I support women's wrestling. I think women's wrestling is great. I just don't want to be on the forefront of talking about it every week. But I'm here on NXT, so I have to talk about it every week as the forefront. But no, you can catch me and Andre Civil War as we go ahead and get ready for that. If you watch our last episode of Agatha All Along, you can go ahead and get the recap of what we've got coming up for the year. But I'll give you a quick headlines of that. So we've got Civil War coming up this week. In 2 weeks after that, we've got Black Widow. Marvel Talk MC Rebound Black Widow because it takes place after Civil War. So we decided to move this one because Andre and I really don't want to talk about it during Phase 4. So we're going to put it where it belongs in the middle of Phase 3. We'll then be entering December. On December 11th, we'll be talking about Doctor Strange. And then we take a bit of a detour for the month of December. In the month of December, we will be doing daily uploads, whether it'll be me and Andre, just me or just Andre, of What If Season 3, like we did last year. The solo episode, the daily episodes were a big hit last year with What If Season 2. They're doing it again this year. We've got 8 episodes coming starting December 22nd. So we'll be going ahead and doing all 8 of those episodes. And we will have a pre-recorded show on Christmas, and it's going to be Once Upon a Deadpool. For those of you that don't know what that is, Once Upon a Deadpool is a PG-13 telling of the Deadpool 2 movie with Ben Savage kidnapped to a bed that looks like the bed that he was in when he was a little boy when he did The Princess Bride. So it's a fantastic retelling of that movie. It's great. I can't wait to talk about that with Andre. It's going to be a whole bunch of fun. So that's the things you got coming up for me. Otherwise, low-key things going on with me. I'm trying not to have another OLED week over here. So take it easy. Not have so many shows. I may or may not be. Okay. It's way more fun than it sounds. I promise you. There's only like small pieces of it where they're doing like the telling of the story, kind of like it was with Princess Bride, how they would go from the movie and then like cut in randomly to Ben Savage on the bed as a child. Like it's the same idea, but like it's just doing it with Deadpool 2. Mm-hmm. And Deadpool's got a button that he clicks to bleep himself. So this is the Deadpool with lots of bleeps because it's not rated R, so they can't have all this. It's an interesting movie. You're gonna love it. Mm-hmm. I wish we were doing a watch along for it, but we can't do that on Twitch and YouTube because that's a no-no. So we'll not be doing a watch along. But I'm very excited for that. It's going to be fun. And then in January and beyond, Marvel Talk will be here almost the entire year with things like Friend of the Neighborhood Spider-Man, with the Captain America's Brave New World without Seth Rollins, with Daredevil Born Again, Ironheart, Fantastic Four, Thunderbolts, Asterix, all the fun shows that are coming up over the next year at Marvel. It's going to be a very big time, so me and Andre are very excited for the future of Marvel Talk as we go. But as we get out of here, we are going to go ahead and raid the wonderful, talented NXT superstar, well, former NXT superstar, I should say, the Johnny Wrestling. Johnny Gargano is streaming some late night EA Sports College Football 25. So we're going to go ahead and join the wonderful Johnny Gargano. So go ahead and have that, and we will see you next time, everybody. Goodbye.
I am in misery.